For Splodinator.com, I'm Noobs. Well guys, it's been a long time, but I had to get into the studio because there's all kinds of NX rumors going on right now. They're more and more reputable. Nintendo's got an investor briefing coming up in a couple days, so I figured this is my last chance to get out all my NX predictions before it's too late. Now, normally, by now, we would have done our big year-end wrap-up. We haven't been able to get everybody together for that, but I had to get in just to do this. First, let's go through a few things that probably relate to NX, or might. First of all, there's been a bunch of patents that have come out. This includes scroll wheel shoulder buttons, which is, that's actually a pretty clever idea, I think. That's a nice evolution of your standard controller, so hopefully that actually makes an appearance. Now, we knew it looked like Sharp was producing some freeform screens for Nintendo. We didn't know what for. There was speculation maybe it was related to quality of life, but then a patent came out showing an actual game device using this kind of freeform display where it's like a rounded, it's roughly a controller shape. The screen is actually an oval and the buttons and control sticks fit inside of it. I think quite likely to be included as well, actually just based on Sharp's involvement here. And then also you had this crazy patent about all these cloud computing devices, how they were all going to help each other out, supplement processing power. You could like lend your device's power to other people so it wouldn't just be locally but across the internet. That's pretty out there. And then there have been all kinds of rumors. There was that survey that came out that, among other things, the item that got everybody freaking out was it suggested Nintendo's next system might be capable of 900p 60 FPS gameplay, which 900p not only is that below your standard 1080p, but it's just an oddball resolution. So people were panicking about this. And then from a pretty reputable source, someone saying there was going to be a Smash Brothers game at launch, presumably a port. There's also rumors of a Paper Mario game in production for Wii U, and Miyamoto himself said that Pikmin 4 was almost complete, so what's going on with that? Oh, and then there was also a Wall Street Journal reporter who said on Twitter, quote, Nintendo's NX may work with smartphones, PCs, and even rival consoles such as PlayStation 4. Probably there will be some compatibility with. They're already going into smartphones, so it makes sense that, hey, at the very least their accounts work between phone and hardware. PCs maybe. PS4, I don't think that's going to happen. Alright, so that's the actual news. Let's get into my predictions. This is everything I think is going to happen with NX. Admittedly, it's more like everything I hope will happen with NX. So first of all, the big picture, and I think this is obvious from all the things Iwata was saying all the way back to a couple of years ago. First of all, that NX is not just one device, but rather a family of devices that all use similar hardware. Games will scale between them, and many devices, he said, were possible, but I think to start with, we will be getting your standard handheld and home console. I think the games that come out for this NX family will come on DS and 3DS style cartridges, those little ones. No more disk drive, so forget hardware backwards compatibility on the home console. And then maybe to compensate for somewhat limiting storage capacity of these cartridges, I can imagine that when you plug one of these in your home console, it downloads like some high-res texture packs or whatever to help you out with the graphics when you're on the more powerful home console machine. So yeah, I don't think either of these actually is going to be backwards compatible. This is a big prediction right here. I think Nintendo's just going to get an entirely fresh start. Frankly, it's very unlikely that just because of how archaic the hardware Nintendo's been using. Remember, this is dating back to the GameCube that then they later updated for Wii and then, supercharged for Wii U. I just don't see them using something in the same hardware family as all those past home consoles. Maybe it'll be closer to what the 3DS has used, but I think they're just going to take the clean break approach. So of course we've had some news about the Nintendo account, and yes, it's just called Nintendo account. Basically a replacement for your Nintendo Network ID, but you can log into this new Nintendo account with your Nintendo Network ID or other like social media things, Facebook, whatever. And then as well, the rewards program component of this being My Nintendo. So I think both of these are going to be huge factors on the new devices as well as their smartphone initiatives. I'm going to predict that the Nintendo account will allow digital purchases and cloud saves to flow between your devices. So you buy a game digitally, maybe it's otherwise a release title, on your handheld, it just works on your home console. It downloads to both through cloud saves. You can even share the same save file so you can continue progress between devices. This also extends to a degree to, at least this is my prediction, I think this will also extend to digital purchases on your smartphone when it comes to your the new Nintendo games that are going to be hitting smartphones this year. So for example, okay, here's a prediction. The handheld will still be a touchscreen. I'm thinking you make a phone game purchase and that same game will also be working on your portable game device. Okay, and I'm going to be really bold here. I'm going to say even though your Wii U and 3DS retail release digital games and even download games won't transfer forward, your virtual console purchases on both devices will transfer forward. I don't have high hopes for those all those Wii virtual console games that are stuck in your Wii mode on your Wii U, but I think the actual Wii U and 3DS virtual console stuff will actually move forward. Don't break my heart, Nintendo. All right, let's talk about power a little bit, a little more of the hardware. So yeah, absolutely, I think the handheld will use those freeform displays. I think it'll look a little nicer than that crazy oval we saw in the patent. You're going to actually have your sticks and buttons embedded in that screen as well. I predict that, okay, it's going to be an odd shape, but you kind of chop off the sides. It's going to be 540p resolution on the handheld. Just ignore what that crazy survey said about 900p. Here's the thing about 540p. It scales up perfectly to 1080p once you're at home on the home console. So I think the home console will be 1080p. Power-wise, I think the home console will be PS4 level. Don't get your hopes for anything beyond that. And then the power will just be scaled down for the handheld. Somehow it'll just be a less powerful version of the same hardware. That's how the games can just so easily, the same cartridge you plug it in, they run on both. Okay, so on that crazy oval patent, the screen only had thumbsticks embedded in it, and it looked like other input on the front of the machine would just be like digital buttons. I'm gonna try to alleviate some fears. I'm gonna predict you're gonna get the full standard suite of sticks and buttons across both the controller for the home console and the handheld. So inside the screen on the handheld, you're gonna have two thumbsticks above, and then below you're gonna get your D-pad and your 4 face buttons. So very much like a Wii U Pro controller. Then up top you're going to get standard shoulder buttons, plus I'm going to say squeezable triggers underneath that to replicate what the other consoles do, as well as what the GameCube did back in the day. I have no idea why Nintendo dropped those. Well, the one change though is those shoulder buttons. That's where you're going to get those scrollable wheels. I think that's just a great idea on Nintendo's part. They can work as buttons and you scroll through inventories and things. It's pretty brilliant, frankly, so I hope they actually do use it. And again, even when you get home, you're just going to have something that's very similar to a Wii U Pro controller that has all the same buttons and sticks. Everybody's always on edge that Nintendo's constantly, even now they're saying innovation, we got to be different. Well, frankly, and they always say they got to surprise their audience. Frankly, just having a normal controller would surprise me. So I'm hoping that's what they go for. I'm really hoping the gimmick this time is simply the cross functionality between all these things. One more thing, I think you will be able to pair the handheld with the home console for the occasional Wii U-like experience. I'm thinking, here's a game prediction for the system. We will get a Mario Maker port. I'm thinking you can only edit levels on the handheld where you got a touch screen, and then you can play the levels on either system, and you can pair them together to do the full Mario Maker experience. I'm going to make a really bold prediction here and say this handheld is going to use a capacitive touchscreen. Nintendo finally getting with the times here. That way it'll just work with what they're doing on phones as well. Okay, this is where we get into the real details, and this was where it gets really hard to predict. Various sources have said at least the handheld by the end of the year. I mean, that would make more sense. The 3DS is older, even though the Wii U is obviously the one that struggled so much. It may just be a production issue for Nintendo, or just too much risk to launch everything all at once. But I'm going to be bold and say Nintendo launches everything, home console and handheld, November 2016. 300 for the home console, 200 for the handheld. And, okay, code names are never used in system names. It's not going to be NX something, but it's not going to be Wii or DS either. It's going to be a new name. I will say, I think whatever this name turns out to be, I think the name Nintendo will be prominent in there. It'll be Nintendo dash something, a couple letters. Maybe it'll be Nintendo Home, Nintendo Portable, something. They'll just, something to indicate that these are systems that are shared. They're all related, right? Okay, let's talk about what I think we're going to get for games. Now, we had the Smash rumor, and I think even before I heard that, I was convinced we would be getting basically another version of Smash 4 on the new device. So I'm going to say that will be there at launch. It'll be an upport of the Wii U version, but we'll get all that content, all the DLC content, plus a bunch of stuff that comes over from the 3DS, because that had unique stages and things. Maybe they'll update or, just add a couple modes as well. And then they'll even continue DLC on the NX version of the game. They've announced the end of Wii U and 3DS support. I think it's just moving to NX. Now, what happens with Pikmin 4 and the rumored Paper Mario game, I think will tell you when we're getting this home console. If both those turn out to be Wii U games, I think that's an indication the home console is coming later. But I'm going to be bold again and say actually Pikmin 4 will be a launch game, and Paper Mario, I think the rumors have it wrong. It'll be on NX as well. I think we're going to get full-on Mario Galaxy 3 at launch, and this is totally obvious, we're going to get that Zelda Wii U game as a cross-gen game. That'll come out at launch as well. Replicate what Twilight Princess did on the Wii. A little later on, but still within that first 12 months of the system, we'll totally get that Mario Maker port I was talking about, and a sequel to Splatoon. That game is as close to a phenomenon as you can get on the Wii U. It's done incredibly well, particularly in Japan. There will be a sequel sooner rather than later. And what's Retro up to? I got no idea, so I'm just going to say Donkey Kong Country Returns 3. That'll enrage everybody. Hey, I'll enjoy it. Square Enix already announced Dragon Quest X and 11 for NX and then kind of walked it back. I think those will be officially confirmed. And frankly, you're just going to see all of Nintendo's standard Japanese third-party support that you see on their handhelds come over to NX because it's got this whole shared library thing. They can appeal to everybody in Japan, and then conveniently these things will work on home consoles, which are more popular in Western countries. Which is really, it's a huge win. Really, this whole idea, provided Nintendo is actually doing this, I think it's pretty much genius. It's exactly what Nintendo's needed to do for a long time. It's going to eliminate Nintendo droughts, I think. Now we only need that Mario Kart team to do one Mario Kart a generation plus DLC, which opens them up to do something else, like an F-Zero maybe, So all of a sudden, you're going to get just way more games across these devices. Now I think Japanese third parties are going to be there to begin with, but maybe we'll even get some Western third party support back. Well, that's what I got for NX predictions. That's my whole vision for what Nintendo's going to be announcing. When exactly we get details, I'm sure they'll trickle out at first, then we'll get a more formal, broader announcement, and then I'm sure we'll just get the blowout at E3. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe.